Welcome to Deep Dive. Today, we're really getting into an issue that sits right at this interesting crossroads: education, immigration, and the U.S. economy. We're talking about the Optional Practical Training Program, or OPT. It's been getting a lot of buzz lately, and, well, our aim today is to give you a clear, solid understanding of what it is, why it's so important, and the significant challenges it's facing right now.
Indeed. And it's really more than just visa rules. We're looking how the U.S. attracts global talent, keeps it, and what happens economically if that system gets, well, disrupted.
Right.
So we'll dig into the specifics of OPT, the threats it's facing, legislative, regulatory, and the, let's say, disproportionate impact this could have on a really big group of international students.
Okay, let's unpack this then. For anyone listening who might be new to this or maybe just needs a quick reminder, what exactly is OPT and why is it such a critical piece for an international student on an F1 visa?
Sure. So at its core, OPT is basically a program that lets international students work in the U.S. after they graduate. But crucially, it has to be work directly related to their field of study.
Ah.
Think of it like a bridge, a really vital bridge connecting their academic work here, often a huge investment for them to actual practical experience in American industries.
A bridge. I like that.
Yeah. For most fields, it's usually up to a year, 12 months. But for STEM graduates, that's science, technology, engineering, math, they can get an extension, another 24 months.
Wow. So 3 years total, potentially.
Potentially, yes. Which makes it, honestly, an indispensable way for them to launch their careers right here in the U.S.
So it really is more than just, getting any job. It's about that specific, relevant experience, building on what they learned in U.S. universities. It really sounds like a smart way to, well, keep some of the talented people our universities attract.
Exactly right. And it's not just about the students themselves, The data we've looked at consistently shows OPT participants give a significant boost to the U.S. economy.
How so?
Well, consider this number. In 2022 alone, there were over 171,600 OPT authorizations granted.
Over 170,000. That's a lot.
It is. And these students, they aren't just using resources, they're actively contributing. Billions of dollars every year go into the economy from their work, their innovation, their spending.
Billions.
Yeah, billions. And that often gets missed, I think, when the conversation turns to immigration and labor. People sometimes overlook the economic growth and dynamism these individuals bring, especially in tech, in startups, advanced manufacturing.
It's a fascinating contradiction, isn't it? Because despite these clear economic upsides and the role OPT plays, our analysis shows the program is actually facing some pretty serious headwinds, legislative challenges, proposed reforms. Some proposals even talk about, well, eliminating it altogether. So what are the arguments coming from the other side? From lawmakers, officials who are critical? What's their perspective?
Well, the main argument you hear from critics usually centers on job displacement. The idea is that these jobs, these opportunities, should ideally go to American graduates first.
Right.
And that letting international students work through OPT basically takes jobs away from U.S. citizens. The concern is about protecting the domestic labor market, particularly maybe in fields where job competition is intense.
Okay, that's a perspective to consider, definitely. But the information we've gathered seems to paint a different picture. It suggests OPT is actually vital for the economy. Maybe it's more about complementing the workforce than directly replacing it. How does that challenge the displacement argument?
That's a really key distinction, I think. When you connect it to the bigger economic picture, many people in industry and academia, they see OPT as this crucial pipeline, a talent pipeline. These are highly skilled people, often trained in really cutting-edge fields right here in U.S. universities. They bring diverse viewpoints, global connections. Our analysis really suggests that cutting back OPT could actually hurt the U.S. position as, the top global spot for education and innovation.
How so?
Well, think about universities relying on international tuition, startups needing specialized skills, big tech firms wanting to stay competitive globally. Curbing OPT could negatively impact all of them. It's about maintaining that competitive edge, really.
Okay, let's zoom in a bit. Our reports highlight one group that seems particularly vulnerable here: students from India. Why are they facing such a disproportionately large impact from these potential changes?
Yeah, that's a major point. What's striking and frankly quite concerning is just the sheer number involved. Indian students are, by a significant margin, the largest group of international students in the U.S.
Right, I've seen those numbers.
So naturally, they make up a very substantial share of the people using OPT. Any major change, any rollback or tightening of the rules, it directly threatens the career plans of, well, potentially hundreds of thousands of these students.
Hundreds of thousands.
Yes. And many of them have invested so much financially and personally to come here specifically for that combination top-tier academics plus that practical work experience OPT offers. It's often baked into their decision to study in the U.S.
So the effects aren't just individual stories, are they? They ripple outwards, potentially affecting whole sectors, institutions.
Absolutely. It's multifaceted. You've got universities, for example. Many rely quite heavily on international student tuition to balance their budgets. Plus, these students add to campus diversity, bring global perspectives.
Sure.
And then beyond campus, you have tech companies, startups all over the country actively recruiting this talent, especially in STEM. They see these graduates as vital for driving innovation.
So disrupting that pipeline.
Exactly. Disrupting that could really undermine U.S. innovation, its competitiveness on the world stage. It might make it harder for American companies to lead in those critical cutting-edge industries.
Now, beyond just OPT itself, it feels like there's a broader climate of uncertainty for students on F1 visas right now. What else is contributing to this anxious environment?
That's a really important point. The OPT situation doesn't exist in a vacuum. It's definitely compounded by other challenges. We're seeing, for instance, tighter scrutiny generally for F1 visa holders, not just for OPT. This means more paperwork, longer waits. Then there are things like changing tax policies, which create uncertainty for both the students trying to budget and the employers trying to stay compliant.
Right, that adds another layer.
And on top of that, you have more direct policy actions causing instability. Things like past visa suspensions that left students stranded, some university-specific restrictions. There have even been cases where institutions were temporarily banned from issuing I-20 forms, the essential documents students need. And add to that the difficulty many face just getting a visa interview slot in their home country. It all adds up to a very stressful, unpredictable situation for them.
That is a lot to deal with. So, given all this uncertainty, what are advisors telling students? What practical steps can someone actually take to try and navigate this?
Yeah, the advice really centers on being proactive and building resilience, a multi-pronged approach, you could say.
Okay.
First, and this is critical, stay informed, relentlessly informed. Check official sources, government websites, your university's international student office. Don't rely on rumors.
Good advice.
Second, if you do get OPT, make the absolute most of it. Be strategic, build experience that's highly relevant, shows clear value, and helps you build strong professional connections. It's not just about having a job, it's about building a portfolio.
Right, maximize the opportunity.
Third, think broader. Expand your plans. Look at career alternatives here that might be less visa dependent, or maybe consider opportunities in other countries that value a U.S. education. For some, maybe even academic extensions like pursuing a PhD could be an option.
So have backup plans.
Exactly. And finally, and this is crucial for the long haul, keep building your professional network, keep upgrading your skills, especially those in high demand, and prepare yourself financially and honestly emotionally for potential bumps in the road. It's about not having all your eggs in one basket.
It sounds like being incredibly proactive, adaptable is key, not just waiting to see what happens. That kind of strategic thinking seems essential right now.
Precisely. It's about creating a personal strategy to navigate what is, let's face it, a very fluid and often challenging policy environment.
So as we wrap up our deep dive today, let's bring it back to the big picture. What does all this mean for the U.S.? Why isn't the potential weakening of OPT just an immigration issue or just about individual students? Why does it fundamentally hit the country's economic health and global standing?
Because the program does so much more than just give work experience, it's really a vital artery for the U.S. economy and innovation ecosystem. It helps fund universities by attracting top global talent. It fuels startups with needed skills and fresh ideas. It consistently brings in people who drive innovation in critical sectors, AI, biotech, clean energy, you name it. Our analysis strongly suggests that significantly curbing OPT could weaken the U.S.'s long-held status as the world's top destination for education and innovation. That's a reputation built over decades. So the future for these thousands of talented individuals, and frankly for the American universities and companies that benefit from them, it really hinges on how this whole complex visa situation gets resolved. It feels like a pivotal moment with real long-term consequences. So just to briefly recap, our deep dive today really highlighted how the optional practical training program is facing significant threats, these potential reforms. And we see this particularly impacting Indian students because they participate at such high rates. But the issue goes way beyond individual careers. It poses real risks to U.S. innovation, how universities are funded, and America's standing as a global leader in attracting talent, especially now, with this broader climate of visa uncertainty.
Absolutely. As we've explored, the road ahead for thousands of bright people, and honestly, for the U.S. economy itself, seems to be at a really critical juncture. It definitely leaves you thinking, how will the U.S. find that balance between, concerns about the domestic workforce and the undeniable economic boost from global talent? And what's the long-term cost going to be for its competitiveness worldwide? Lots to consider. All the best, and we will meet again with another important matter again.